Hello, 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 and happy Monday, everybody. I'm hoping we're going to be able to get through this without freezing. And I don't mean temperature-wise because it's far from freezing where I am. How's everybody doing tonight on this amazing Monday? For those of you who are not sure what you're watching and who I am, you are currently watching Joanne's Healing Within. I'm your host, Joanne Angel Barry Cologne. I am the founder of Holistic Fitness and why. I serve, help, and witness women in midlife as they go through their transformation through releasing emotional weight without dieting. I witness them gain the confidence and the courage to walk away from their job and step into their soul's calling. I'm super excited to be here with you tonight, and it feels like forever since I've been here, as theoretically I took some time off in June, not intentionally, but in reality of it all is when we think about things on the all, it is intentional when the universe asks you to take a break. So anyway, just want to say hello to everybody and remind you that you are watching. And if you've missed any episodes, that you can definitely watch on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch TV. You can also listen on many podcasts such as Audible, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and that's just to name a few of them. I want to give a shout out to one of my partners that helped make the show happen, Miss Tammy Moses. I wrote down a little something that was quite interesting based on one of her quotes, and I just want to read it to you. And that quote is, "Together, let's shatter the silence." Because not many people really talk about hoarding. We talk about decluttering, we talk about getting rid of the junk, but we really don't talk about hoarding and the effects that hoarding has on our physical body and our emotional state of being. And Tammy and I speak about this a lot, how hoarding and also our physical body, there's a huge connection between the two. And I promise you, I will bring Tammy on over the next couple of months so she and I can have a really intense conversation about the effects that hoarding does to your physical body and how it's very connected to your health issues, how you eat, and everything else in reference to weight as well. So again, I'm super excited to be here with you today to share about this amazing topic that we have going on. Tonight's title, by the way, is Menopause and the Moon. Now, you might be sitting back and asking yourself, why on earth would we be talking about menopause and the moon in the same conversation? Well, I want you to get yourself a glass of water later, grab your notebook and a pen, and take some notes down, because there's a huge correlation between our moon phases and also quote-unquote menopause, which theoretically is just another chapter that both men and women go through. And at the end of the show, I'm going to talk very briefly about how men also experience this chapter of life. So all that being said, I do want to talk a little bit about this energy, and I just want to make sure you're all sharing. I'm going to do the same thing, so give me 1 second just to get on board to where we all are. Here we go. And if you have not shared out the show, please do so. I'd appreciate that. Share it to all of your groups. Let everybody know about this, because I do believe this is something that we definitely want to share and get the message out there. So I've just shared it out, and I'm hoping that you're going to do the same. I'm going to click on. Come on, babies. Let's work with me. Oh, it'd be nice if I clicked on the right thing, right? It's so funny on how everything works. So anyway, now that I have been connected and I am definitely shared the show out, let's talk a little bit about this energy. So right off the bat, let's start off with the portal. I'm sure you all have been hearing about the what we call the 7-7, and there's a third 7 involved with this, the 777 portal. And that's basically just for this year of 2025, because when we think about 2025, the last two numbers in the year adds to a 7, and the overall number of 2025 adds to a 9. And when we take the year, or the month, shall we say, and the year and add it together, any number added to 9 ends up being that same number. So it's a very significant portal that we are in. And even more so, why it's so significant, we've had many planetary shifts happening before it, on it, and after it. So let's just talk about that. And I want to break down the numbers for you based on numerology regarding the 777. So the first 7 is a reminder of the relationships that we are in with everyone else, and of course your physical body. That theoretically is your primary relationship with your higher power, and of course the moon's energy along with all the other planets. So the relationships, how to bring your body back into a state of homeostasis. So that's the first relationship. The other 7, which is the double 7, when we add those numbers, is 14, which works out to be a 5. 5 is about the changes that we are undergoing every single day, leading up to who we are here to become as spiritual beings. Now, if you watch my show or you listen to me on different interviews and podcasts and Facebook Lives and etc., you always hear me saying we are spiritual beings having multitudes of human experiences. So with that, it's the understanding that we are here to really become more aligned to the spiritual being that we are, and working on coming away from all this 3D energy that we are drowning in. We are literally drowning in all of this 3D energy, and we have literally forgotten who we really are based on the spiritual being that we are here to be. So this 5 is about the change. Now, in addition to that 5 energy, with the most recent that's going to be taking place at the end of this week, we have Mercury, which is very much about technology. It's about communication. It's about travel. It's about learning and listening. And Mercury is currently in Leo, which is the 5th zodiac sign. And Leo is all about how we express ourselves and the freedom we're looking to move into upon the changes we're undergoing, whether we're physically making changes or the universe is requiring us to make changes. So when we think about that second 7, it is about the change that we're about to undergo. And rightfully so, as before we move into that third 7, on this portal energy this morning, really early in the morning at about 3 something, I think it was like 3:49. I don't actually think it was 3:49. Let me give you the exact time. 3:45 to be exact. AM. So really early in the morning, Uranus, some say Uranus, some say Uranus, however you want to say it, the planet of what's called intervention, unpredictability, cracking you literally up so you can shift gears and move into a different energy altogether. So when we think about this energy that we're in with Uranus, this unpredictability, these changes that are going to be coming through, the becoming sort of like the rebel and disrupting, which by the way, people, if you're not familiar, I'm known as a disruptor. And a lot of that has to do with my Aquarian energy. I sort of beat at my own drum, and rightfully so, because too many are following others and not really standing in their power of being the leader. So when we think about Uranus moving into Gemini as of today, and Mercury in Leo, and Mercury's the ruler of Gemini, there is a lot of technology and a lot of communication and a lot of intervention that's going to be occurring over the next 8 years. Now, the last time Uranus was actually in Gemini was 77 years ago. And that's a big energy, which again brings us back to change. I want to move into that last 7, then I want to pull a card, and then I'm going to take a quick commercial break. So, because there's so much to talk about. So that last seven of the 777 portal is 21, which brings us into our three energy, which again, the experience that we're going to undergo with all of this energy that we are being guided to move into, which I believe is a really perfect way, a perfect portal regarding the conversation we're going to have today about menopause and the moon. So as we sit in that three energy of communication and learning and listening and learning how to travel between worlds and learning how to connect and travel with your own body is a big part of the journey we're on. So let me grab my card deck and shuffle the deck to see what we need to know for today based on the energy of today, so we can move along to this powerful conversation that's about to take place today. And for those of you who are curious, wondering, the background that behind me happens to be my card deck. If you are interested in purchasing my card deck, you can go right over to Amazon. It's a long name. It's called the Chakra Balance. Actually, it's called Chakra Balance Numerology Cosmic Energy Forecast Deck. Yes, that's the name of it. What I'll do later at some point is I'll put it in the show notes. So if you are interested in getting your own deck and learn how to play with these, feel free to. They're lots of fun. All right, our message. So interesting. Cards can show up two ways: upright, meaning that we're just going to read out the message, and then in reverse. And today's card's in reverse, just to show you. And it's in reverse, quite interesting, because it's about the new beginning that every one of us are about to experience, especially with all the planetary shifts that we are experiencing right now, leading into this 777 portal that is the huge gateway into the 888 portal, which is known as the Lion's Gate. So there's a huge new beginning coming through for all of us, which again, menopause and the moon, great conversation. That 10 energy is a reminder that this is your soul's work that you're here to do. So for you ladies out there who are either experiencing perimenopause, which is basically the early stages, or you're experiencing menopause, this is your soul's work. The symptoms and everything else. And I'm gonna break it down to you today in reference to exactly what it is that you are working towards. So all that being said, the purple is about your higher consciousness. This is really about tapping into your higher wisdom, coming away, as I said, to the 3D energy and learning how to lead as to be the leader and not follow so much and not take on all this conditioning and programming that we've been doing for many years now. We have become puppets. We forgot how to really connect with our own physical body to really understand what our body is going through. So I'm going to leave you there. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we're going to come back and we're going to dive right into our conversation. Hello and welcome back. If you're just tuning in, you are watching Joanne's Healing Within. I'm your host, Joanne Angie Barry Cologne. You just missed a little portion of the show, but that's okay. I always like to do a reintroduction to what actually took place during the first part of the show. The most important part was the card, which came in reverse. A reverse card, just a reminder that there is a little bit of resistance to whatever new beginning you may be undergoing at this point in time. In the beginning of the show, I mentioned that we have the 777 portal, and right in the smack of this portal, we've had some planets shifting. And right in the middle, right on the actual day of this portal, we have Uranus, which is the planet of chaos, intervention. It's the creator, it's the disruptor, it's the unpredictability, and it's shattering you literally in half. That has moved into Gemini. And Gemini is about how we communicate, how we network, how we learn, how we speak, how we listen, and even more importantly, how we're teaching. And it's about technology as well. And by the end of this week, we will also experience Mercury moving into its retrograde. Now, I paused there because I just want to make sure it's by the end of this week. I believe it is. Let me just double check. Actually, I might be ahead of myself on this game. Well, actually, not that I'm ahead of myself. Mercury is in Leo's energy. However, what's happening by the 18th of this month is Mercury's going to retrograde. So as I was saying earlier, that when we talk about this energy of the 7-7 portal, which is about that 5, which is about the change, and then the 7-7-7 portal, which is about the experience, what we're going to be experiencing as we undergo this new beginning, that every one of us are going to experience one way or another. Whether you're going to have a new beginning in your career, a new beginning in your home, a new beginning in your relationship, a new beginning in your health, whatever the new beginning is going to be, every one of us are going to experience something. So understanding this process. Now, in order for us to have a new beginning, we need to experience an ending. And for many, we also experience some challenges because after all, we are human beings, and being that we are human beings, we tend to make everything so much harder than what it really needs to be because we want to be in control. We want to be in the driver's seat 24/7. And when it comes to your journey that you're on, if you really learn how to tap into what I like to call your third chakra up, which is your solar plexus, and learn how to trust the process and allow your higher power to guide you through the next step, you'll find out you get to that next step a lot more easily because there's no resistance, no restrictions, and no limitations. And paying attention to that, hold on one second, I have something popping in on my screen. There we go. Don't know what that was about. So anyway, paying attention to this energy of, are you resisting? And if you are resisting, just know that that resistance is very well packed up with the chaos. And now that we have Uranus in Gemini, the planet of chaos within itself, and being that Uranus is an outer planet, which means it hits the collective before it hits the personal. However, I always find that to be interesting because we are part of the collective. So whatever's going on collectively is going on personally. So I want you to keep that in mind. So that's what this card's all about. And it really is about tapping into your higher wisdom. And moving right into our conversation for today regarding menopause and the moon. So for all of you out there, men and women, I'm sure every man out there knows a woman who's been going through whatever they're going through. And like I said, I want you men to sit and listen to this as well, because you also get your share of this life-altering change that we often go through. Now, the one thing I want to note, based on something I posted when I was introducing that I would be coming on to talk about this topic, one thing I want to note is that most women do not know what it feels like to go through perimenopause or menopause, because we have, all of us, have been conditioned or programmed on how or what to actually feel based on media. Because for whatever the reasons are, this particular topic has been the go-to topic, at least from my perspective, over the last give and take 5 or 10 years. Now, prior to this, I never remember my mother ever talking about menopause, and nor did I ever hear my grandmother talk about menopause, or that matter, both my grandparents talk about menopause. So it's like in this century that we're in right now, all of a sudden this is a big topic. And rightfully so, it should be a big topic. And why? Because it's not so much about the physical symptoms that many women are experiencing. That's the big topic here. It really is about, and I want you to pay attention to this, it really is, the menopausal experience is really about the Kundalini awakening. So for those of you who sit expressing your hot flashes, and I speak of the physical symptoms based on metaphysical explanations. So we think about the hot flash in itself, based on the Kundalini awakening, it really is about the energy that starts from your root chakra, and that heat that rises up, that circles up, bringing you into your wisdom from one chakra to the next, which is why that hot flash occurs, because it's helping us to burn away the fears, the insecurities, the doubt, the limitations, the poverty mindset, and not feeling supported. And then as it spirals up into the sacral energy, it helps us to release our judgment towards ourselves, our shame that we hold on to based on the very moment that you experience your moon cycle. The shame that went into that story, and I'm sure we could probably spend the entire time just talking about your story about when you first got your moon cycle. Now, those of you who don't know what the moon cycle is, it's known as the period or the curse. But it's the moon cycle. And then as that energy helps you to release the shame, the guilt, the blame, and the judgment towards that whole experience, it kundalini's up, that energy flows up, the heat comes up into the solar plex energy, helping you to release the not feeling good enough, not feeling wanted, not feeling deserving. And it gives you this expansion in the belly. And when we hold on to all those feelings of not feeling good enough, not feeling wanted, not feeling deserving, we get this bloat that occurs because we have all this resentment that's going on. So that energy that's flowing upward, moving up into the heart, hopefully the heart gets to open, allowing you to experience the joy as you let go of the anger, or the resentment, the frustration, the sadness, and even the grief, or whatever it is you might be grieving. And grief is not just about the loss of it, it's about maybe the grief of how you are disconnected with who you are. You are grieving you. You have literally lost the connection to you with all that we have been programmed and conditioned to believe. And then that energy goes up into the throat, the internal dialogue. How often do you have conversations with yourself? And how often are you really saying nice things to yourself? As opposed to saying nice things to others, which we're really good at doing, it's really important to start saying that to ourselves. So this Kundalini awakening that we go through, so we can tap into our spiritual wisdom and recognize that we are here working through this energy. So when we think about this hot flash, it's a symbol of an energetic release, purification, and a spiritual transformation. So rather than trying to rush off that hot flash, allowing ourselves to be in it so we can experience this Kundalini awakening. So you can tap into your deepest desires and have, and I know the show is probably PG, so if there's little ones in the room, please ask them to leave. Experience the greatest climax that you can experience so you can allow this Kundalini energy to actually take place. And when we think about all this energy, and it allows us to really let the body shed the old patterns of the emotions that we all hold on to. Because for whatever the reasons are, we feel some sort of power with being angry, or we feel some sort of power with being frustrated or resentful or annoyed at somebody. But there's so much more power when you step into that place of joy and excitement, allowing yourself to really feel into your desires and connection. So when we think about, as we release these patterns and these emotions, it allows us to make space for the new beginning. The new beginning. and that deeper self-awareness of who you really are. So really embracing this understanding of what we call the perimenopause or the menopause. And here's an interesting note for you when we talk about the word menopause. Did you know that menopause literally is only one day? One day. Yet women talk about menopause as this like long life death sentence that they're experiencing, like life is over. And the reality of it all is life is just beginning. As you literally experience the, shall we call it, the perimenopausal cycle, which theoretically, from what I understand, what I've researched, is that your body, your moon cycle starts to change. And within a year's time, so that's 12 months where your moon cycle will shift. And a lot of this is really based on, and hear me when I say this, it's really based on your dietary habits and how you manage and take care of your physical body. Because if you are fueling your body with healthy food and you are moving your body physically and building that internal foundation, a lot of the symptoms that many women experience during perimenopause doesn't occur. That just, your cycle will just quietly come to a different direction. So, for example, and then we're going to go to a commercial break. For me, because I like to bring my personal stories into this so it can be relatable. For me, my moon cycle ended literally on March 4th of 2020. Now, if you think back to 2020 in March, what was going on? The grand pandemic happened. So at that very moment in time, and I did some research to see where the moon was on that particular day, and it was actually in what's called the waxy Gibson moon. And there is, I do believe, I don't know if I shared it. Did I share? I don't think I shared the photo for the moon phases. So I don't think I did. No, I didn't. Anyway, no biggie. Maybe I'll show that at a later time. But when we think about the different phases of the moon, and it being in a waxy Gibson moon, what phase that's at that point in time is just before the full moon occurs. So the full moon is about releasing something, letting something go. And on that particular day, on March 4th of 2020, the moon itself was actually in Cancer. So it's quite interesting because the moon is the ruler of Cancer itself. So my question to you, for all my women out there who are watching, are you aware of your time of birth and what phase your moon was in at the time you were born? And if you are in that stage of life where you're either in perimenopause or, for that matter, menopause, can you track back to the date when theoretically your cycle ended and look to see what phase the moon was in and what the moon was in to begin with? Because that's going to give you some insight to what was going on in your life and how everything just falls into place nicely. Because again, my cycle ending on March 4th of 2020 in the waxing Gibson moon, which is literally the phase before the full moon occurs, and it was in the Cancer moon, which is really about bringing me back home, bringing me back into my body, helping me to connect on a more homeostasis way of understanding who I was. And from that point, now we're in 2025, and it's been 5 years. Now, can I sit back and say I've had any of the quote-unquote symptoms that we have been conditioned and programmed to believe that comes along with this stage of life? A big part of it is no, because I don't really believe in that stage of life based on the symptoms itself. I do believe that it does have a huge Kundalini awakening process, and that whatever symptoms that my body is experiencing, it's based on bringing me into this higher energy of higher wisdom. So there's just some food for thought there. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, I'm going to share some more with you about the moon's energy and give you some more insight to how menopause and the moon play a big role. And hopefully, by the time the show ends today, you walk away with some knowledge and a different way of looking at whatever stage, whatever chapter of your life that you're in right now, and how that's going to bring you more into a state of homeostasis. So let's take that quick commercial break. Did you know we are in the age of Aquarius? It's all about finding your tribe, making connections, collaborations, networking, being inspired, being empowered, and transforming. Hello, I'm Reverend Joanne Angel Barry Cologne, the founder of Holistic Fitness NY and Women Empowering Women. I'm a Reiki Master, Medical Astrologer, Master of Numerology, Holistic Integrated Teacher, and Card Creator. Women Empowering Women meets the second Monday of every month at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I would love to invite you in as my VIP guest. To redeem your VIP invitation, email healingwithin76@gmail.com or go to holisticfitnessny.com. I do promise that you will be inspired, empowered, and make connections. I look forward to seeing you on the second Monday of the month at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Hello and welcome back. For those of you who are just tuning in, you are watching Joanne's Healing Within. I'm your host, Joanne Edith Barry Cologne. Super excited for you to be here with me today. You're definitely going to have to come back and watch from the beginning, and you can do so later by watching on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch TV, or if you prefer to listen, you can listen on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Audible, and that's just to name a few of the podcasts. Anyway, want to dive in because there's a lot to cover and we have a little bit of time to cover it all in. As I was chatting, before we went into the commercial break, we were chatting about the moon's energy on March 4th of 2020, which was in Cancer at that point in time. And at that point is when my moon cycle came to an end. It's really important if you are in that stage of life where your cycle has ended, and you can go back to the date to when it did, you can get a better understanding to what the story was for you at that time. So a little history behind the moon itself, in case you're not familiar. The moon rotates every 2.5 days. So every 2.5 days, the moon is moving from one of 4 elements, which is fire, earth, air, or water. The moon is currently in fire right now, which is Sagittarius. As of yesterday, it was in water, which was in Scorpio. So the Sagittarius moon is about the fire within us. So theoretically, based on not just the temperature outside, but the moon's energy could literally be lighting up the fire within you. So if you are in this stage of life and you are feeling a little hotter than usual, it is definitely due to the element of the fire Sagittarius moon that we are in at this point in time. Now, a little bit about Sagittarius energy. It is about the higher consciousness. It's about the traveling between worlds. It's about freedom and doing things a little different than the average. Sagittarius are very smart because they are explorers. They like to explore and discover new things. Now we think about Sagittarius on the whole, the planet that rules Sagittarius happens to be Jupiter. And Jupiter is currently in Cancer at this moment, at least for the next year. Jupiter is the planet of the grand expansion. So we think about the moon being in Sagittarius today on this powerful 777 portal, which again, this gateway that's really moving us into the next portal, which is the 888 portal, and Uranus moving into Gemini today. There's a lot going on. So again, when we talk Gemini energy, that's air, and
Air is the intellect, and out of all the air signs, Libra and Aquarius included, Gemini is the one that is really most connected to who we are and how we think. When we think about Libra and Aquarius, it's the overthinking, it's the researching. Gemini is really about the one that wants to explore and really discover the intellectual conversation. Geminis are not really one to want to talk small talk, similar to Sagittarius. And when we think about Uranus moving into Gemini today and the moon moving into Sagittarius today, both Gemini and Sagittarius are opposition of each other. So you might have felt that sort of like push pull energy today, where maybe you had the energy to do something, and maybe you were just really looking just to lay on the couch because of this energy being so powerful with the 7-7 portal. So when we come back into the energy of the moon, and that every 2.5 days the moon is rotating from one element to the next, and we just left water, now we're in fire. 2.5 days from today, the moon will then be in Earth, which will be Capricorn's energy, which, by the way, where our full moon will take place. And Earth is about getting grounded. Earth is about connecting with Mother Nature and allowing yourself to be more grounded and centered and focused on the tasks to come. Now, when we speak about the full moon based on the phases of the moon, the full moon really is about the ending of a cycle. It's a release of what no longer serves, and it really is about your emotions and at the most highest level at this point in time. And we have been programmed and conditioned to believe that like during the portal, this is the best time to, in theory, do our manifestations and doing all the journaling. Whereas in fact, the reality of it all is this is really between this portal and the full moon. This is really more about sitting in a state of prayer and meditation and really honoring your physical body in reference to what your physical body needs for nurturing in reference to what food do you need to eat, and in regards to fueling and feeding the body at the same time. So when we think about these phases that the moon goes through and how within a 7-day period, there's that number 7 again, we literally will go through 3 out of 4 of the elements when it comes to the moon's energy. So that's the up and down. So when we think about it, we started off the week, today's Monday, the weekend the moon was in water, and by the end of this week, the moon, again, like I said, we will have the moon by the 12th, the moon will be in Aquarius, which will then be in air. So within the 7-day period, we literally have gone through the water, the fire, the earth, and the air. And that really means that within 7 days, we've gone through 4 of the elements, the up and down. So rightfully so, if we want to sit there and place blame on any reasons to why we might have mood swings, it's not necessarily about the menopausal symptoms as much as it's about the energy that we're connecting with the moon itself. So again, I say it all the time, knowing your own personal moon energy is extremely critical to understanding how to play with the energy of the collective. So for example, I have my moon in Aquarius. And because it is about the researcher and maybe even the overthinker, and the current moon is in Sagittarius, which is the higher wisdom, learning how to play with how can I use my personal moon to tap into my intellect versus overthinking. So I don't bring myself into that space of overthinking, and that then will cause the physical body to feel displaced. So again, everything that we are experiencing with our physical body based on what we blame menopause or perimenopause on really is this disconnect that we have with the moon cycle and our own personal moon's energy, and learning how your own personal moon's energy plays a role to what is actually going on day to day, and when we are in these different portal aspects of where we are. It is extremely important to get this understanding so that you can understand where you are at this current time and experience this, what's known as the Kundalini activation, and being excited about this placement that we are actually in. So I do want to pull up an image that I do have there, which I want to talk a little bit about. The image says "coming soon," which is the menopausal portal, and I'm really excited to debut my book. Super excited! It's actually in the making as we speak. I'm working chapter to chapter to share with you information on how to manage through this portal that every woman will experience. Not that every woman goes through the symptoms of what we've been conditioned and programmed to believe, but that every woman will go through the actual portal of the Kundalini awakening process and moving through one chakra to the next. And if for whatever the reasons are, you get stuck at a chakra, it just means that that chakra needs your attention so you can heal and release whatever energy that's causing that chakra to feel stuck. So again, I want you to pay attention. I want you to look for the menopausal portal that's going to be coming out really soon and working through. I love when my program is doing what it's doing, but I'm guessing you can still hear me and see me. Got a lot of pop-ups going on here. Anyway, I'm hoping that doesn't do anything. Here we go. Anyway, so I'm super excited for that book that's going to be coming out. It's actually in the making as we are speaking. Each day I'm working on a chapter, and it's a guidebook to literally guide you through, where I'm going to share my story with you in regards to my moon cycle coming to an end, which I shared briefly about here. My interesting chapter of my pregnancy. So I want to talk a little bit about that, about pregnancies, regarding your mama, meaning if your mom is still alive, if you get this blessing opportunity to sit with your mom and ask her about her experience prior to conceiving you, and then of course the actual time where she's conceived you, the actual pregnancy, the 9 month period, and then the labor, and then of course um the post experience behind it all, that will give you a huge healing experience to what your mom was going through and some of the energy you picked up from her during that time. Because let me put it out there, just from different women who I've worked with, if during the pregnancy or conception for that matter, the mom or the dad were angry, that energy sits in the womb, which then means the baby, even though the baby's not born yet, the baby then brings that energy into life. So it's really important for those who are considering conceiving down the road that you really put your body in a state of homeostasis and treat your body with kindness and love. So when you do decide to conceive, that you are conceiving with a state of compassion, joy, and happiness, and that your baby doesn't carry all the energy that you may be carrying at that point in time, because it does play a huge role to their journey that they're going to undergo. Now, I only wish I had this knowledge way, way long ago prior to my mom passing, because I would have loved to have a conversation with her to learn what it was like for her at that point in time of maybe not conception, and maybe conception. I know that during the time that she was giving birth to me, that was a wild time because I was unexpectedly born at home. There was a lot of noise going on at the time that I was being born because, like I said, I was unexpectedly born at home. So I came in with a lot of noise, a lot of people in the room, and just to give you a little story about it, my dad came home unexpectedly. He listened to his gut knowing, and when he got home, the chains of the door were locked because my mother didn't expect him home. So he had to break the door down. And upon doing so, he then had to call the doctor. And then he called 911. And before you knew it, the entire apartment was filled with police. And by the time they did get there, my father had me in his arms with the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck. So That's how I came into the world, with all that noise. So interesting enough that I chose that particular day to come into the world and the story that goes along with it. And I've been sort of following that story and seeing how that story is nurturing who I am today. And I do a lot of work sitting and sharing my story with my daughter based on her whole process of the conception, the pregnancy, and of course, the postpartum of it all, as I will also share that story in my book as well. So the menopausal portal is really a guidebook to help you better understand the chapters that you're going through in your life and how to realign your chakras and go through that kundalini awakening so you can experience the internal wisdom that you were meant to experience in this lifetime. So it is a beautiful time that we are in, understanding the moon cycles, understanding your own personal moon energy, and learning how to nurture your body, whether you are still with your moon cycle or not. It's really important to understand how your body needs nurturing during this time. Even if you may no longer have your moon cycle, your body is still going through the same transitions as if you did have your moon cycle. So it's really important to start paying attention to how your body is responding to you. I like to believe that our body is our biggest messenger. And if we learn to listen to whatever the symptoms are before trying to get rid of them, we can learn a lot from our body and bring ourselves back into a state of homeostasis and truly have this powerful, empowering Kundalini awakening that every woman deserves to experience. So with that being said, we're going to take one more commercial break, and I'm going to come back and just give you the conclusion of the show. Let's take that break. You caught me dancing. Anyway, I think it's so perfect. Welcome, welcome, welcome. For those of you who are just tuning in now, you are watching Joanne's Healing Within. I'm your host, Joanne Angel Barry Cologne. I urge you to come back and watch from the very beginning so you can catch what it is that I was chatting about based on menopause and the moon and how the two go into the same sentence. Well, you'll have to come back and definitely watch because they are a perfect combination. So all being said, just to conclude, as I've said, this chapter of life that we all experience, men and women. And I know there's many men out there saying men don't go through menopause. Yes, men do. It's called andropause. And I promise I will do a whole show about it and what men go through so they can have an understanding too. And if I don't get a chance to do it through my show, I will definitely have a chapter in my book about this so men can understand the changes that they're going to go through as well. Because this is not just about a Kundalini awakening for women, it's for men as well. So all that being said, again, keep in mind that it's really important to pay attention to the moon cycle. Know where the moon is collectively and know how that moon is definitely connected to you and your own moon cycle so you can really hydrate and nourish your physical body so you can be more aligned and bring yourself back into a state of homeostasis and allow yourself to experience whatever symptoms that show up so you can learn something from your body because it's your body's way of just bringing you back into alignment. All that being said, I just want to show my book again, coming soon, The Menopausal Portal. I'm super excited about that. Really excited that I'm here debuting that book. It's in the making as we speak. It's a guidebook. It's going to be cover to cover information to help you better understand the portal you're going through. And I have every portal, such as the 777, the 888, etc., etc., the full moon, the new moon, and all the moons in between. These are all portals taking us to where we have to go, taking us home as spiritual beings. Now we're going to go into Get Featured. If you have a story, if you're an author and you want to be seen, I encourage you to reach out to me. I would love to feature you in Holistic Healing Magazine. It comes out every month. We are literally in the July issue, and I'm working on the August one. So if this is you and you want to share your story or your book, please reach out. Information is there. Midlife transformation. For those of you who know me, you know I am a holistic personal trainer, and everything I do, I also do with clients. From holistic personal training to astrology, numerology, chakra balance, Reiki, crystal healing, aromatherapy, and also, yes, yoga, meditation. So if you're interested in changing it up a little bit, becoming confident, strong, and bold, and transforming your physical body without dieting, I encourage you to reach out. I am holding space right now for 3 women that I would love to work with going forward for the next 12 months. Reach out, schedule that self-growth discovery session, and let's see how we work together so you can go through your midlife transformation. Last but not least, the Hoarding Solution, founded by Miss Tammy. Again, together, let's shatter the silence. Her work is powerful, her mission is powerful, and you need to get to know her. So if you know anyone, maybe yourself, that have a hoarding issue, like my table right now, oh my lord, every time I speak of Tammy, I always look at my table and say, I need to do something about this. But anyway, recognize and understand that if someone does have a lot of clutter around, it's not just about going into their home and throwing it in the garbage, because there's an emotional connection to that hoarding situation, just as there's an emotional connection to the weight that we carry. So that's why when we talk about dieting or restricting or calorie deficits, that's not the answer to helping to release the weight. It really is about the story we have to work on releasing, and then releasing the emotions that's connected to it, similar to hoarding. So all that being said, I am super excited to share today's topic, menopause and the moon. I do hope that you've learned something. If you are interested in having a conversation with me, discovering where you are on your chart, what your moon sign is, how to play with the energy, how to play with astrology and numerology, please reach out. You can reach out to me at healingwithin76@gmail.com. Until we meet again, I'll be back here next month, and I'm sure there'll be so much more to share with you at that time as well. Bye bye for now.